Hey
Yeah.
guys, welcome to the Provider Growth Something podcast. All right, I'm with my good friend Greg Chadwick. And Greg, what are we going to talk about today? You and I both love helping NDIS businesses grow and help them market themselves. What shall we chat with them about today, Greg?
Yeah, I'd love to talk a little bit about how we're going to stand out and identifying who their participants are and yeah, helping them leverage some of their skill sets so that they can create some kind of a sustainable and business focused on growth and focused on the goals and the needs of participants.
Okay, that's awesome. And how Greg and I know each other is when people come to me and they need a bit more help around working out what their strengths are, their weaknesses, I send them to Greg and he looks after them. That's so cool. Because Greg's like the only other website guy I know in NDIS world who I trust. I don't know. Greg, do you know some other guys you trust? Surely you do.
No, I look, honestly, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I've been doing this a while now in the disability sector, and I've put a lot of emphasis and focus on quality and making sure that providers are happy. I've seen a few other people in the game. I can't speak for them, but I know I do the best quality that I can. And I know there's some people in the game that are really hurting other people as far as trying to sell them things they don't need and that sort of thing, but I'm sure we'll touch on that a bit later.
Yeah, we will. Okay, so we obviously trust each other. We see a few things in the same way. Something I see, Greg, people really struggling with, whether they're small or medium or even large, is we look so vanilla lately. In fact, 2025 seems to be the Chinese year of vanilla. Like, why? Why would anyone be creating a website or a company that's all about serving everyone at all times for all reasons? What would you say to someone who's partway through growing a big company like that? How do you shift directions so you start being a bit more niched and a bit more about a particular type of participant?
Yeah, for sure. Look, a lot of the participant providers who have started like that have maybe started 4 or 5 years ago when it was a little bit easier to acquire participants into their business. So I think now we are starting to see the movement, and I know a lot of us marketers have been pushing this for a while, and you hear the consultants starting to change their language frameworks to understanding how we're going to stand out and how we're going to attract these sorts of things. So when you're at the bigger stage, I guess it's a little bit challenging because that comes with a whole heap of issues. For the fact is that if you've got a staff member who's really good at working with young men with autism, and then a support coordinator or someone refers you someone with dementia, high needs, that sort of thing, and you just take that person on because, you know, you've got capacity, and we talk about capacity a lot in this sector, but that is a real ethical dilemma that you're going to now take that person who's untrained with high intensity and putting them with that staff member, and it's also creating a lot more financial issues for you because now you have to train them in all separate different things. Now, I'm not saying that if you've got a whole heap of clients that you can't continue to service them and whatnot, but life really does become a lot easier when you start to identify the different cohorts and start to understand what, you know, I work with young men with autism. I work with young women with autism. When we're marketing to that sort of thing, life becomes a lot easier. So even if you can't reduce, you know, and really start to narrow, you do look a bit vanilla, you still do have to break it down into when you're doing your marketing and all that sort of stuff, you have to break it down into that sort of thing. And obviously what helps you not look vanilla is having that website that has pictures of your own participants on there that is humanized. I think it really, that what we see when we talk about vanilla is that it just looks so corporate. And I like to create websites that look humanized, that when somebody lands on a website, they can subconsciously put themselves inside of their child's shoes or inside of their participant's shoes and say, oh, there's a guy having a great time at Taronga Zoo. Oh, there's a great support worker with a smile on her face, obviously doing the right thing. So subconsciously, they build that trust straight away.
How often do you see websites or any other marketing that all looks the same? You've got your home page, you've got your about page, you've got your services page, and then you can already predict what's going to come next. It'll say community access, then it'll say in-home care, and then it'll say something.
Yeah.
It's like they all look the same because it's like we have this mentality in NDIS world of as long as I look like everyone else, I'm safe. And that probably was true in 2021, 2022, but in 2025, if you look like them, you're dead.
Mm.
You're allowed to say, oh, you think I'm wrong, by the way. What are your thoughts on that when it comes to people promoting themselves?
I think there are definitely some things within a website that have to be there. Obviously, we have to list the services we offer, sills, all that sort of stuff. But if you're not offering sill, and let's say sill is like 5 years down the track, because as you probably know, SIL is a very different beast to community access and providing these sorts of things. So if you're not offering SIL, I guess it throws up some red flags for referral partners when you're trying to get in contact with those sorts of referral partners as well. But I guess looking at how we're going to stand out, it does come back to identifying who you are as a person. So let's say, for example, I in a discovery call, when I have a discovery call, I write down a lot of the vernacular and a lot of the language framework that they like to use, because that's their framework. That's the people who they are. I know the framework of the NDIS, person-centered, dignity of care, all that sort of stuff. I know that sort of language, and then I try to merge the two to have something that's unique and stands out to them. And that we can do that as well by putting pictures of yourself on there and whatnot. That just depends on if you're comfortable in certain situations. You know, obviously if you've got like 4 directors or something like that, you might not put all 4 directors and that sort of thing, because then you're not really humanizing it, you're making it, you're actually identifying you're a corporate. But I've built a bit of a framework because I've built so many websites. I've built a bit of a framework where I nurture people through trust, and my websites come back to trust. My marketing comes back to trust. Everything comes back to, do people trust you? Do people like you? And would they like to work with you? So when I build my websites, I have in mind, we build trust here, we build trust here, we build trust here, and we continue to nurture them in a nurture sequence to take action. And then once we get them on a phone call, then we build more trust. Okay, then it's up to you. You know, does this person like your phone manner? Can you get them to a meet and greet? Do they like you in your meet and greet, and that sort of thing? But we need to get them there first, which is that sort of direction.
Wow, I'm loving hearing this. Do you know what's so weird, Greg? Is that so often people jump on a podcast and just completely agree with each other on everything. And I think that's so boring. And I'm seeing you have a very different style to what I have in your marketing. So like, guys, when you look at Greg, he's all about build trust, build rapport. And that's his specialty. And especially in your niche, Greg, or one of your niches, which is helping new providers or early stage providers, that's so damn important.
Yeah, they have no trust. Right now, when they come in, you know, I like to say, you're alone in a karaoke room singing by yourself. We need to create your stage. We need to create your concert where we can put your target audience in a room and hear you have the voice of an angel. Because people say, I want to do things right. I hear a lot of the things, you know, this is a family business. I'm a really good carer. I'm a really good support. But nobody's around to hear you. It's like that old adage, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear you. So we need to build trust. We need to get you seen and get you in the community. And it's a process. It's a step-by-step thing. It's not something that can be done with Facebook ads or Google ads or these sorts of things. The website is one tool. One tool.
Totally. And they'll put on that one tool, that website, these claims of, I'm so person-centered, just ask me, you know, or I care more than others. And Greg, that's the same claims that everyone else is claiming. How do you get your early providers or your mid providers to stand out as actually being what they claim when everyone else is claiming to be the same thing?
Yeah, so we like to do what's called attraction events. So around my marketing and that sort of thing, we create attraction events where we leverage value. So in the disability sector, it's really difficult to identify value because we're capped at $67 an hour. It's not like we can do a price war and drop our prices, because it's expensive to run a successful NDIS business. And, you know, regardless of some people's popular belief, you know, you don't make a lot of money. You have to be in it for your heart and that sort of thing. So yeah, we create your ideal attraction event where it solves a problem. It solves more than one problem. We identify who your ideal clients are. We put those ideal clients in a room, and then we give you a chance to build a relationship. And when you can build your community like this, what you'll find vicariously through other channels, you'll be putting yourself out there, you'll be meeting support coordinators, you'll be meeting referral partners, touching base with primary carers, all these sort of things. And then at some point you have to pitch. And I know pitching is a sleazy word, it sounds gross, but when we pitch in the NDIS, it's focused on their goals. And like, hey, Johnny, look, I see that you're really into cars. Let's say we're talking to primary care or whatever. He's really into cars. There's a GC600 coming into town. I can get my hands on some tickets. I'd love to take you out on community access. Is that something you'd be interested in? Just focusing on what their goals are and how we can kind of get them to their goals and pitch around that. The thing is too, that a lot of the people don't want to hear it as well. So
that's so true.
It's like, no, I'm still looking for this silver bullet. And you will waste 2 years, for anyone who's listening to this, you will waste 2 years trying to find that silver bullet. The process is the shortcut. Trust the process. That's a shortcut. Identify who your ideal participant is. Find out how you can solve their problems and solve their biggest things that keep them awake at night, and everything else is going to take its place as long as you can put yourself out there.
I love it. Do you know what, Craig? I'm sure they're getting heaps out of that. It's like there is no silver bullet. All right, let's take a different tack. Let's talk now to our medium-large providers. Okay.
Yeah.
I see medium-large providers making different mistakes. I see them throwing lots of money at problems, thinking that'll fix it. And one of the things that you and I are both very passionate about is don't waste money. Use it well, right? What do you see larger providers doing where they're throwing money at problems and it's not going to have an impact?
Yeah, look, obviously, as you get larger, you have a little bit more of a marketing budget. And it really depends. Like, obviously, to have a sustainable business, you have to stay lean. And the guru and the guy that I would say for that, Paul Bryan, if you're looking at medium to large businesses, jump on and look up Paul Bryan. He'll help you scale. Really, I would just say they need to stay lean. You do have a bit of a budget. You can throw stuff at the wall and see if it sticks. But even to the point of, let's go down the route of Facebook ads or Google ads. For 90% of providers, I would recommend that they don't use Facebook ads and Google ads. There is still a 10% there which they may have some keywords which we can go after and we can kind of look at. But generically in this disability sector, they go after a disability term called like Disability Provider Gold Coast, NDIS Provider Gold Coast, that sort of area. That person could have any kind of disability. They could be any kind of creed or any kind of gender. So it's really hard to market to those people. They're actually in what's called a research keyword term. So they're just going to go through the top 10 and see if they can identify with who their ideal provider is. So when you're a large provider, you have a little bit of a budget there to maybe test that sort of thing out and get a return on investment, but you have to throw a heap of money at it in order to get a return on investment. It's like going and playing the pokies. I think Google ads and Facebook ads, they're playing the pokies. If you want to win, if you're going to play the pokies and you just are happy to lose $20, then that's fine. And hopefully you win some money. But you need to basically test for a couple of months and be happy to lose that money until you can figure out which keywords are giving you a return on investment. Still very similar and the same direction is to create your audience. Why couldn't you create a free event once a week, once a month, once a fortnight that has your ideal participants in there, that is solving their biggest problem and building that connection in your community? I know I went a bit of a round circle, but
we're with you. But then what you're saying is there's a better way. Just build a community. Like, how does someone build a community if they've never done it before?
Look, I mean, obviously inside of our mentorship program, it's called the Provider Mentorship Roadmap. I help them for the first 8 weeks. We build a foundation. We understand all that sort of basic stuff, get that foundation right. For the next 8 weeks, we look at creating and launching. I've got a list, 180 unique services, which I've been collecting since I got on Facebook 5 years ago, looking at disability sectors and that sort of thing. Every time I saw something unique and different and really cool, I would put it in this list. And so I've just continued to accumulate this list, and it's over 180 now. So I basically use that as a bit of a worksheet to say, hey, look, go pick out 5 and then we'll talk about it. And we'll see how viable is that. Can we get that launched in the minimum, what's the minimum viable product, that sort of thing. So I should stress, it's not sausage sizzle in the park. Okay, this is only solving the problem of your hunger. This is not solving someone's social anxiety. This is not helping them focus on their goals and their likes and their dreams and that sort of thing. So this, in order to add value to these events, you really have to look at what participants' dreams and goals and aspirations are and that sort of thing. So I repivoted and I call myself a strategic marketer now. I know Chadwick Digital, a digital agency, we build websites, all that sort of stuff, but I'm a strategic marketer because we do have a bit of a hybrid where we do some things like expert roundups and all that sort of stuff, get people involved in that sort of thing. But I've spent hundreds and thousands of dollars on Facebook and Google ads and that sort of stuff, and I know what works and what doesn't, and this sector is very different. And be very careful of those people that tell you they're going to get you 10 leads, those scammers out there, as we would say.
They're not going to get you 10 leads. They're not going to get you 1.
Oh, they might get you 10 leads, but they're dead. They're not relevant to your niche. They're not the people you work with, or they're like, no, I didn't fill in that details. I didn't put my name into that. So
I love it.
Be
Well,
very careful.
I'll tell you what, guys. Greg's got to go because he's a man of his word and he's promised someone else he'll be on a call with them. But just before you go, it's like Gregg is significantly better than me at the technical stuff. Okay, I'm great with the messaging. I'm great with the overall strategy. I'm great with people being known as subject matter expert. But when it comes to the specifics of Facebook ads, Google ads, which, by the way, Gregg's saying don't go down that path, but the specifics of what works and what doesn't, I don't know anyone in this industry like you, Gregg.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much, and can't wait to see you again here sometime.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, man.
Love it, mate.